Well, welcome everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Jen Gish. I'm the Vice President for Marketing and Communications at the college. It's interesting that I'm sitting here today talking about a collaboration with Women at Work and the Times Union because I used to work at Women at Work and the Times Union as the editor of the Women at Work magazine, and helped lead that network. And that was years ago. And I remember sitting in a conference room table at the Times Union in Colony and talking about how we'd really love to do some in-depth professional development offerings through Women at Work, connected with an institution of higher ed, so that we could really offer a meaningful credential and professional development that went beyond the great breakfast that Women at Work is known for. And so to now be here at Russell Sage and working with the Women's Institute at Russell Sage as well, and then be able to bring this to the capital region, I'm just thrilled. So it's amazing kind of how things come together sometimes. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. But I'd also like to introduce on this call Professor John Dion, who is the new dean of our School of Management at Russell Sage, and also a longtime professor, both at Russell Sage and in the region, as well as Katie Lesko, who is our Vice President for Enrollment Management, Student Success, and Persistence at Russell Sage, who is here to answer any questions you might have about the program or the process of bringing credits in and how all of that would flow. So let me get started here with a PowerPoint for all of you. And feel free to raise a hand and ask questions, unmute and ask questions anywhere along this process. And then we will also have some time at the end where we can answer questions as well. So this program was formed in partnership with Women at Work, and we did a lot of research in the early parts of the development, talking to people in Women at Work, surveying our own alumni at Russell Sage to find out what meaningful professional development would look like to them. As a professional woman myself and being involved in the early days of Women at Work and designing some of what we do, it was often a frustration that a lot of the offerings in professional development were about how to build confidence and power posing and all of those kinds of things. And I used to think, well, what if I'm already confident? Like I don't think I need to learn this part actually. I'm sure there are some people in my life who wish that I would tone that part down. But what are the things that I really want to know? And when I got into the work world and was getting deeper into management and leading teams, it was really about helping people through major organizational change and how do you build relationships to get people to do the things that you would like them to do on the job. And it was some of those things that I really wasn't seeing offered in a way that I needed them offered to me as a professional. So to be able to work with Women at Work and design this program with the School of Management and our Women's Institute folks was really, really exciting. So we're thrilled to be doing this. And we built it with working, busy women in mind. I went back to grad school in my early 40s. I always said I wanted a master's degree, and then I sat on my couch trying to raise two teenagers by myself and figure all that out. And it was a lot, and I was intimidated to go back into master's degree work after 20 years away from higher education and doing papers and all those sorts of things. So it was funny that someone who had so many years of professional published writing experience was scared to do an academic paper because I didn't know how to do the citations correctly. I was afraid I'd get a bad grade because I didn't know APA or MCLA or whatever the style was that the college I was attending was using. So I understand that, and I think a lot of us do, and we built this program with that in mind. How can we show women that they can make time for this, that it will work for them? That's our philosophy and how we've designed the mode of our MBA program and our organizational management master's program at Russell Sage. And we really wanted to create a professional development curriculum that also sort of spoke to the needs of women's schedules as they're trying to fit things in. So we call this microdosed learning. It's 3 2-week modules spread throughout the year that is manageable. So you're going to spend 2 weeks, 3 days each week, diving into the curriculum and for a set amount of hours when you start the program, it's all on the website and we'll go through that in a little bit later. It really is set for you. You know what time, you know where, you'll know all the details and be able to schedule and plan around it. And we know how important that is. It's also a mix of modalities because we heard that that was important too in our focus group work. It's going to be synchronous online learning, and we think the synchronous part is important. So you're going to be live online with your classmates in this professional development program, learning together. We feel that's important in order to build community and to build connection and to build relationships and practice a lot of the things we're talking about within the program. And then also there'll be some in-person meetings as well, where it's really about hands-on exercises, simulations, tours of real workplaces, women-owned businesses, and exploring what's out there, and then getting to really network and meet your peers face to face. The other thing we really wanted to put into this curriculum was that it was worth something later if you wanted it to be. So this is going to be valuable in that each module, you come away with a micro credential for that module. You don't have to take all three. You can pick and choose what you need if you're just seeking the professional development. If you want more than that and you already have your bachelor's and you've been, like I was not so long ago, thinking about a master's program, you can take these three modules and stack them toward your master's program. So we can give you, if you complete all three modules successfully, we can give you 3 credits toward the master's program in either the MBA or organization management program at Russell Sage. In addition to that, we wanted to add another layer of value, knowing that there are a lot of women out there who have vast career experience, particularly a lot of the women connected with Women at Work have been in their fields and are in positions of high regard in their organizations for a long time. That experience should count for something. And so we will do an evaluation of credit for prior learning and see how that experience may translate into an additional 3 credits. So those are available to people who choose to complete all 3 modules. You could walk into a master's program at Russell Sage specifically with 6 credits already toward your degree. And then we have a real mix in this program also of both theory and practice. So we've been really intentional in pairing people in each module so that you're hearing from people who are out there doing the thing right now, and then people who have studied the thing and done the thing in a previous life, like John in all his work with Lego and bows when he was in the field, and connecting. What are we reading about? What is written? What is researched about what the best practices are? And now let's talk about how we might apply them, or let's actually apply them in this really fun change management simulation and see what happens when we make certain decisions in a workplace. So we've made this a very hands-on and engaging program because we want you to see how things apply, but also we want you to have the opportunity to work with others and collaborate and build your network within this program. I also want to say that when I talked about the value of the credits, there is also a financial savings that is significant in doing that as well. And we'll get to that in a minute. So the curriculum structure of this program, each module has a theme, and we've pulled in practitioners who are experts in those areas. And so we're going to start with change and innovation, move to relationships and persuasion, and then the final one is entrepreneurial thinking. You can be in any field and benefit from each of these modules. And we wanted to design them that way so that everyone could see these as transferable skills, no matter what background or application you have for them. John, do you want to walk people through sort of what they'll pull out of these modules?
Sure. Yeah. So the change and innovation one, the first one is actually based on a course that I teach in the MBA and Organization Management program. And the first half of it will focus on change management, talking about changes that we've experienced in the workforce, small changes and much larger changes. It's kind of interesting because at Russell Sage, we're going through a very large change right now as we merge with our next door neighbors at Albany College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences and talk about what what seemed to work in those changes, what didn't seem to work so well, and then we'll get a theoretical perspective on a model based on John Kotter on his steps or phases for managing change effectively. And then to apply it, we're going to do a simulation offered by a Canadian company called Experience Point, and we've gamified change management. So you will interview these stakeholders at a company that wants to make a change in their market focus. And from those interviews, little video clips of different folks, you will determine what the key problem is facing the organization, um, and the stakeholders, their level of resistance to the change. And then you're going to develop a plan to create change, to implement the change. And this is kind of the fun part because in this simulation, you have digital tactic cards. And each tactic is that there's an action that you can take to move the change forward. And each of those tactics has a certain time duration and cost. And you play the card and you see how much you move the needle for the change. So you start the game at 6% of the stakeholders on board with the change, and before you run out of time and money, I think you're given 18 months and $500,000, you have to get to 60% of the change. And after you play each tactic, you not only see how much the needle moves, but one of the characters will actually give you a little video clip on their take on the change. And sometimes it's, wow, that was really great. And sometimes you're told, wow, that was a waste of my time. But with this game here, certainly we want to win. But you can play the game as often as you want until you win. I had someone when I did this in class, she was on a team, but after her team won, she played it 20 more times on her own because
Mm.
there's a global leaderboard and she wanted to make it to the top of the global board for the game. But that's the change management part. The next part is innovation. And one of the key messages for the innovation one is that many of us think that the ability to be an innovator is it's limited to a rarefied few special creative people. And really, what this is about is we can learn how to tap into our creative selves. We can follow a process to create innovation in our personal lives and in our professional lives. And there, it's not really a computer simulation we're going to do, but you're going to create an actual innovation, and you're going to share your innovation with the class following the model. And you can do something, you can actually literally will have materials there and you can build a prototype for a physical innovation, but you can also create a process innovation for your work, for example. But that's the change in innovation one. The relationship and persuasion one, this one is led by Kristen Delaney, who is former area president for iHeartRadio. And her entire career was in sales, radio sales. But really, it's sales is truly about building relationships and listening to people. And when you understand what their wants and needs are, showing how you have solutions to meet those wants and needs. And Kristen will walk you through all of that. Um, and the last one, entrepreneurial thinking. I'll be working with actually an entrepreneur right in Troy, and we will show how the process for creating not just entrepreneurs like starting your own business, but how you can even be an intrapreneur, how you can create innovation and in within the company that you're working with now. And it can be on a small scale, it can be on a much larger scale. And as Jen mentioned, for each of these, we will couple each module with a business. So, for example, the change and innovation one, we will visit Digital Express, which is not only is the company owned by a woman and she's the president, but also her vice president of sales is a woman also. And we can ask them any question about running their business, and they're happy to answer. I've brought students there in the past many times. They're great. And I think for the relationship one, I know we're going to go to a radio station and talk to folks there about the persuasion that they do. And then for entrepreneurial thinking, the person I'm working with for that one actually owns her own business, and we'll visit her business.
Wonderful. Thank you, John.
Sure.
And each of these, again, you can take them separately, what speaks to you. If you're looking to matriculate into a master's program here at Russell Sage, either the MBA or the organization management masters, you want to take all three because there's some additional value there. Each of these courses are $500 each. And again, you do get a micro-credential badge at the end of it showing that you completed the course. Wonderful. These are some of the instructors that John was speaking about. Laquetta Alexander is our entrepreneurial thinking practitioner. She's the founder and executive director of Practice to Perfect Training Center. And her story of how she built this company is absolutely phenomenal. It is a training center, primarily phlebotomy. They just added a doula certification. It is a way to get people into early careers in healthcare that they can either stay in and be successful in for the long term or inspire them to go on to do the next thing. She's had students become LPNs. She's had students go be RNs after becoming phlebotomists. She's had students go back for their PA, their physician assistant education. And so it's so impressive, but she put all her own money into it. She worked extra hours so she'd be able to fund this company. She talked about the ups and downs of it and the times she'd make mistakes and how she recovered from that. And I just think there's such a realness to that. And a lot of the things that keep entrepreneurial folks from developing something, like she addresses in her life, and she's managed to get past those barriers and keep going. So I think her story of creativity and persistence in building this company is just absolutely phenomenal. She's just a constant problem solver, and that's how she's gotten to where she is. John's already talked a little bit about Kristen Delaney, who's retired from iHeartMedia and Clear Channel. And then also we have Dr. Jen Murphy, who recently left a longtime position at University of Pennsylvania. She's done a lot of work in change management in the higher education space and brings a lot of background. I believe her doctoral work was in women's leadership. And so she understands that perspective from a gender point of view as well through all of these various topics. So we talked a little bit about the value of it. Immediately, you get the micro credential upon completing each module. You're getting practical content that you can use the next day. In fact, we hear that feedback a lot from our MBA students. That's the way John designs all of his courses. You are taking what you talked about in a classroom, and I've heard people say over and over again, the next day at work, they have an opportunity to apply something, and that's really exciting to them to be able to make that connection. We've worked with Women at Work. They are going to provide an annual Women at Work membership to anyone who signs up for the course. So if you're not already a Women at Work member, you would become one. That gives you access. They do these phenomenal breakfast panels with professionals throughout the region and nation. They've brought in a lot of national speakers as well to speak about real life. Here's the straight talk on my experiences and my career. And there's an opportunity for the audience to ask questions. They're phenomenal events. And so that's part of it. And the networking opportunities in Women at Work are just extensive. So it's a wonderful value to have that. And then you'd also become part of our Women's Institute mailing list. We have speakers and we have events that would also be of interest to the community. We've had authors come in, researchers and experts, national folks. We're planning some stuff in concert with Women at Work for the fall as well in terms of national speakers. So there's a lot of opportunity there for you with that offering. As a pathway, I don't know if we have some folks interested on this call. Let's talk about that in a little bit when we can interact. You can earn up to 6 graduate credits by completing all 3 modules. We, because of our partnership with Women at Work, are also providing our 10% workforce development partner discount on tuition for the MBA or MS and org management program, which is it's a savings of $4,100 to $6,500. And between that and the credit savings that you have on your program, you could save up to $9,300 on the entire cost of your master's degree program at Russell Sage. So it's a significant, again, our time is valuable as women who balance a lot of things, and we wanted to honor that in what we're offering for the time that you commit to this program. And so we really have packed it with a lot of different perks depending on what you're looking for. All right. And that's what I have. I'm going to stop share for a moment and just open it up for questions from our attendees. If any of you, oh,
So,
go ahead, Maggie.
right, I have a question. So is there outside work involved in completing these modules? Because it's funny you mentioned about valuable time because I'm watching this as my husband's cooking dinner and I'm feeding my 7-month old son.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think my goal is that we can complete all the work during the class time. If you want to do some extra work on your own, if you're really excited about, your innovation, you can certainly do that. But you should be able to accomplish all of it during the sessions.
okay, thank you.
And I'm not sure if everyone is able to come off mute or could say in the chat. Is anyone who's on the call interested in the MBA program? Do you have a master's already? Are you really looking for sort of that maybe refresh or, just sort of the module size professional development? What's drawn you to the program?
So I can share for me, there's the possibility of wanting to do the MBA. I feel like this is a good like segue to figuring out if that's plausible for me or how it would work and kind of, transitioning back into like schoolwork and everything and schooling.
I can talk a little bit about the MBA if you'd like. I think one of the things that I like best about our MBA is how we deliver the content. It's our Flex MBA, and it really is designed for working professionals, people who are trying to balance work life and home life, and now adding in academic life. So the way that it works is that you, as the student, you decide how you want to receive the content every single week. So you can choose to come into our classroom on campus if you want, if that's how you prefer learning. You can join the exact same session live online via Zoom. We have big flat screen TVs in our classrooms, and all the Zoom people are right behind the in-person people, so the professor sees everybody at once. And actually, we have special webcams, so all the people can see each other, whether you're in person or on Zoom. And then all the lectures are also recorded, and the professor goes home after the session and turns those recordings into YouTube videos and posts them online for you. And what's important is you're not making a decision for the whole semester. You're just saying this is what works for me this particular week. So we have one student, he loves being in person, but he decided to take his family on a cruise. But he doesn't like watching the recording, so he bought the Wi-Fi package on the cruise ship and he joined class from the Lido deck. And that because that's what he likes to do. But if you have a business trip or a family vacation or wedding or whatever it is, it allows you to make it all work. Um, the MBA program is a 36 credit program, so 12 courses. 9 of those courses are required courses, 3 are electives. So if you did these 3 one credit modules, they'll combine to satisfy one of your electives, and they cover all the different areas in business. So you get economics and finance and human resources and marketing and all of that. The organization management degree is a 30 credit program. There is one elective in the program. And again, this bundle of one credit courses will be used to satisfy that elective. And that is well, it's focused on management. So it's a deeper dive into all the areas in management. So organizational behavior and labor relations and HR and so on. But that's a quick overview of the program. I will say that a lot of people are in the same position you are. They have been out in the workforce for a number of years, and they really want to test the waters to see if they can handle the graduate coursework and make it work in their world. And I would say most of the people who try the first course, like 90% of them say, you know what, this actually works for me really well. And they can take usually 2 courses per semester to complete their degree. There's a couple of people said, you know what, I like taking the one course and that's fine for me. I got a lot out of it, and it's not the right time for me after all. But most people, it works really, really well. And our classes at Sage, I think, kind of like the micro credential that we're talking about, really balance theory and practice. So we'll talk about the theory. Well, then we'll relate it to our own world, and then we'll do hands-on projects in class. So if you take marketing strategy, for example, you'll create the strategic marketing plan for the business of your choice. Right. If you take marketing research, you'll create a marketing research for a real business. That kind of thing we do a lot in our classes.
And a lot of times, John, correct me if I'm wrong, students often for those sorts of assignments are picking things within their own work
Mm,
that they do. So
absolutely.
it allows them to tackle things they might be facing within work or a problem they need to solve in the classroom and get credit for it, essentially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Any other questions? Katie, do you want to talk about next steps for people who may be interested in doing this? What we need for, it's not a lot.
Sure. I'll drop in the chat a form that you can fill out if you're interested in the class after you think about this. With the June 2nd start for the first module, we would look to have, I think, it in a couple weeks beforehand so we can comfortably get you registered and settled in order to know what your expectations are. But we'll drop that in the chat. And then if you're interested in the master's program while doing it at the same time, we would be starting that in the fall. So you'll have more than enough time to try this module out first and then be able to work with our grad director on starting the master's program. But I do think, Maggie, that you are absolutely right. Trying something, figuring out how it balances, even though it might be a little bit different than a master's course, it's still the concept of adding one more thing into your life. But they always say that busy people get things done. So I think that's part of the reason why everyone here is on the call. But I will drop that into the chat. And then we'll follow up with the next steps as.
And you don't have to commit again to all three. Like you would register one at a time. So you can
Yep.
also just say, you know what? I'm going to do this first module. I'm going to do $500 and see what this looks like. If I like it, if it feels worth it, I'm going to take two and then and you can decide from there. So there's not a long-term commitment. You're not having to be admitted to college. This is really a professional development course that we figured out a way to give you credit on the other side for later if you choose to go into a master's situation here. Any other questions? Sarah, I know you had to pop off and pop on, so I just want to make sure we give you an opportunity if you had anything. We can take it in the chat or on mute. Okay. Katie, did you get in the chat your info?
Yep, I'm just getting it right now. I just
Okay,
want to make
so
sure I
we'll
do
wait
the
for
right,
that to happen.
right form.
Also put my email address in the chat just in case anyone had any additional questions about any of the graduate programs.
Great.
Because if you're
And we
like
also,
me, I don't have questions in the moment, but then like 10 minutes after the call ends, that's when I have a question.
and we also on that form to our website where we talk about the whole program, there is access to Katie's email on there as well if you had any questions, or you can also, if you're interested in signing up, you can sign up for the program directly there as well. The form is linked on that page. It also
I'll drop
has,
that.
oh, go ahead. Yeah, you
I'll drop that into Jen. I just did the direct form, and we'll send this to everyone's email as well. But I will put the Sage website on there as well.
And on that site, we've conveniently provided, like I had said, all of the hours, dates this course will meet, all of the details of that, location. Some of them are TBD, but they're local businesses, as John talked about. We're going to hold the in-person sessions in Troy. So that is all laid out for you in terms of knowing what the commitment would be.
There's 2 other sessions coming up too. So if you feel like you would like more information or as you research it, May 7th and May 19th are 2 other info sessions. They will be similar, but sometimes you just listen differently.
And And those will be on the website as well. So you can register to get the Zoom link for those on that website page that Katie put. Okay, we have a great question from Sarah. She says, I'm definitely interested in both classes and grad school. My worry is cost and time at the moment. Will these sessions continue annually if we want to think it over and may not have time this semester? That is our plan. We are trying this out this fall. Our plan is to also try it again in the spring, learn from the first time out, adapt based on student feedback, and offer all three of them again in the spring. We also felt that would give people a chance. Say you come in on module 2 or 3 and you go, but I want to do all three because I'm interested in applying this toward a grad program at Russell Sage. You could pick up the module you missed in the spring term. And then you'd have everything you need. You've completed all of them. So that's the plan, Sarah, this is really our first time out. Everyone who joins us in this is part of an experiment, and we'll be looking for your feedback so that we can make sure that this program just gets better and better with time and that we're serving everyone's needs.
And what some students do, Sarah, is they might take the first graduate course as a non-matriculated student just to try one course and see how it works. And then after that, then they'll join the program fully afterward.
Mm-hmm.
It's easier to go back than you think it. It's funny because for me, it was 15 years between bachelor's and master's. And then I gave myself 1 year off, and then I went and got the doctorate, just kept plowing through.
Yeah.
But it really was an easier transition than I expected it was going to be.
My kids I have twins. I'm a divorced mom of twins, and I was 40 for mid 40s when I went back. And I did an online program, 8-week terms at West Virginia University for marketing and integrated communications. 8-week terms that's a lot of learning to pack into that time frame. So every weekend I was on the couch doing papers. But you know what? There are days I wish I could go back and do it again, because what it did for me is just lit up an excitement for my work again and like a new set of eyes toward my work. So one of the proudest moments of my life was when I hit submit on the final paper, the button online, because everything was online for my program, and my daughter pressed it with me. And it was just to be able to do that with her and see what her mom accomplished just meant a ton. 14
Our
years.
semester, for what it's worth, our semester is 15 weeks. So it's a little bit more of a relaxed pace than the 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Sarah says, it's been about 14 years for me as well. Finally found a position, an area that I enjoy working in, administration and education, and would like to grow there and blend it nicely with nonprofit and grant writing work. That's awesome.
And we do have actually in the group of so we have 3 graduate programs in the School of Management. We have the MBA, the Organization Management. We have a Health Service Administration program as well. And actually, I believe that they have we have a grant because I'm in charge of it. We have a grant writing course that's in that program, and you're free to take. Honestly, from my perspective, any graduate level course that the university offers, you can take as one of your electives in the management programs. Our thinking is this is your program, and we want it to work for you and meet your personal and professional interests. And so if those courses are offered in the School of Management, that's great. But if there's one in our School of Education that really interests you, by all means, take that course as well.
Yeah, I love the flexibility of our programs. Faculty really listen to students and they say, what are your goals? And how can we help you get to your goals?
Oh, really? Oh, I drive past you all the time.
Yeah, so some of the courses are in person. We are going to be offering them probably on the Troy campus, which is not too far away, Sarah. I have to tell you, I make that commute all the time. I'm an Albany resident. But it's a nice mix. Awesome. Well, it was wonderful meeting all of you. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for taking this step for yourself to investigate it, because I know what it's like to juggle things and think about fitting it in. So we appreciate your time. It's valuable, and we're glad you're here.